Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Denver Gridiron and Hoops. We've got some pretty great news, the Broncos securing the 1 seed. It has been a little bit of time. I want to say it's been about 11 years, I think. But regardless, we're here. And I tell you what, 1 seed, we may have backed into it a little bit. People a little upset with the offensive performance in that last game. 1 seed's a 1 seed. Kind of the whole thing I've been saying this whole season is a dub, is a dub, is a dub, is a dub. We've had one loss at home. I'm going to call it an outlier, simply due to the fact that every other game this year has been competitive. And this last one kind of matched up with the way we've been performing. I'm David McDougall. This is VMAC. Let's get it started.
2026, here we are.
Yeah.
And what a better way to start the year. I mean, like you said, we got number 1 seed, which means, if you do your math out there, folks, you win twice at home, you are in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And when you say it that way, it does sound a lot easier than you'd expect. But it'll be a tough road no matter what, right? No matter who comes to town, it's going to be a tough game, tough matchup. As most playoff games are. There's not too many blowouts, although they do take place, and we're hoping we're not one of those statistics this year. And then Nuggets, although we had some scares injury-wise over the past 2 months, everybody's going to come back. So the time you want to be playing your best basketball is after the All-Star break, and everybody should, I put that in quotations, right? But everybody should be back post-All-Star break. So we got some good things happening on both fronts. But yeah, Happy New Year. Hope everybody had a good holiday season.
Heck yeah. And hopefully, you had yourself some good holidays in general. Appreciate you guys joining us. And more than anything, just rocking with us through all this time. I mean, we're going into, a different calendar year on this podcast. So, I mean, little milestone there.
Didn't even think of that.
But that being said, the main thing that I needed to get out of the way is saying that being said before, anything else in 2026, because that's a habit of mine.
That being said, that's okay.
That being said,
everybody has their little things, right? If you let AI analyze your speech patterns, everybody would have their little things that would pop up over and over again. So don't feel don't feel like you're alone there.
Right. So just real quick, and I started it off with the Broncos because obviously that's some huge news, but we are going to hit the Nuggets real quick and then return back to the Broncos. Nuggets just finished a pretty good game in terms of production from a unit that you wouldn't expect to really compete at a very high level against a pretty stout team that is actually looks like they have everybody playing. So if you didn't catch it, the Nuggets just beat the Philadelphia 76ers by 1 point in OT. Specific contributions, we had Jalen Pickett scored in 29, shout out. We got Peyton Watson scoring 24, Bruce Brown scoring 19, Najee scoring 21. So it was really a group effort tonight. Tell me, VMAC, what was your impressions from the game?
Yeah, so I was able to catch it start to finish, and a few things popped out for me. One, defensive effort, although, it was in the high hundreds, low mid 100s, close to mid 100s with overtime. There was plenty of defense to be had. For me, a couple things popped out, though. One, it makes me think, do we need to just play Murray and Jokic less even when they're healthy? Let these guys get their minutes, let them get their time, and let them fight and scrap and claw and scratch and do all the things that they want to do when they get time to ensure that Jokic and Murray aren't gassed to end the fourth quarter. Because this team this year, and you've said in years prior, but I really see it this year, they're struggling in crunch time. And I can't help but think it's a little bit of them being just gassed, right? They're just playing a ton of minutes again, even though we have a deeper team. We went out and spent that money in free agency. So for me, that was one of the takeaways. Do we have an opportunity to play Murray and Jokic less? Because we just beat a Philly team on the road that had Embiid, Paul George, Maxey, and Edgecombe, who's their rookie, playing probably 25 plus minutes. And then the other takeaway is, Pickett can put the ball in the hoop. He hit, I think, 7 or 8 threes, but he also was able to drive to the rim. He was able to handle the ball. He would go left. He would go right. Everything you want to see from a guard. So I think him getting some more minutes might not be a bad thing. And really, that's just the common theme was, everybody who got a chance, Najee included, they took advantage of the minutes that they got and beat a decent Eastern Conference team that was fully healthy.
Yeah, I think a good combination would be Jalen Pickett and Bruce Brown rocking together. Simply due to the fact that, I've mentioned it all the time, my worries about Jalen getting it past the mid-court line. So that's, I think with Bruce Brown, he alleviates that. And then Jalen can do what Jalen does, and that's playmaking. You put him back to where he's not having to rely on struggling to get it past half court, and then that wastes 5 seconds or whatever the case may be, and then they're rushing. You get across the court, give it to him, and then he can work. I mean, he had 7 assists on the night, and I don't think anyone could ever say that he's not able to play make. Adam Mares is pretty popular for saying that he believes he's a mini Jokic. Now, obviously, it's a little bit of hyperbole there, but the guy definitely has a knack for offensive awareness and even defensive awareness on that end of the court. So that'll be interesting to see. And then more than anything, Spencer Jones, 43 minutes again. I think I think obviously they're kind of leaning towards him being that 15th roster spot because he's running out of two-way eligibility. So
Yep.
they play him a lot of minutes.
As a member of Navy Federal
So
Credit
on the
Union,
season,
Rob
he only
feels
has
financially
21 and a
at
half,
ease, which means
but
he can worry
lately
about
he's been
other
averaging
things
like
like
40. And tonight
Because
he
the
had
injuries.
43 minutes, and they're just leaning heavily on him. So I definitely think he might end up making that roster spot. And then it looks like even Strother got some minutes tonight, so it's good to see the young guys playing. And then on the other end, just to kind of give people a breakdown, Tyrese Maxey ended up with 28 points, 4 steals, 2 blocks, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. The guy's a player, that's for sure. Embiid ended up having 32 against not a single starting center on our squad, so I'll give it to him. And then Paul George with 8 points. Paul George, he had 2 steals and a block, but other than that, in 32 minutes to have 8, 2, and 3, I'm just wondering if he's a shell of his former self.
Yeah, he didn't look good. He hit a couple threes that, like good step back moves that reminded you of a time of old. But I honestly don't know how Philly blew this game. They have Embiid who is going up against the zone, and he'd have, Bruce Brown on him. And, obviously they sent a ton of double teams his way, so he had to make the right call. But, at some point in time, he also has to say, like, hey, I should be easily drop 50 tonight. But he's just, he also, after all these injuries, he's not quite the same. He still
Yeah.
obviously has a ton of ability. But you can just tell it's just he doesn't have that extra gear that he probably had his MVP year. And you mentioned it earlier, Spencer. There's no reason he should not be on this roster. Um, Everything he does doesn't show up in the stat sheet. He's one of those guys, and you can giggle or laugh when you hear that, but that is exactly what this team needs. Is that down in the dirt, get your nose dirty. It would be really nice if he could get the OKC treatment of like Lou Dort or anybody from that OKC team, because they call a ton of fouls on this kid. And some, yeah, some he's, trying to play bully ball a little bit on defense where he's muscling people up. I get it. But there's also a ton of ticky tack fouls that are called against him that you don't see getting called on the OKC Thunder team. But when Spencer wants to play defense for the Nuggets, they get those call. He gets those calls. So in any case, he doesn't seem to get too bothered by it. He'll throw his hands up, but he doesn't really argue with refs or anything like that. But he'd be a really good piece to come off the bench once we have all our starters available. And then if we need to mix things up, you can also start him, right? He could easily, come playoff time, be a change of pace, change of lineup to throw the other team off.
Yeah. I I think the main difference with OKC is number one, obviously, they've got their reputation at this point. Everybody fouls. So like they can't call everything, otherwise the whole dang team would foul out. You know what I mean? So it's like I think the Nuggets just need to embrace that is everybody just needs to foul. And then just build up that reputation because that's almost seems like it's the only way because watching OKC games is not fun basketball. All they do
Mhm.
is foul and then on the other end get fouls and it's just aggravating to watch. But coming up next we've got the Magic or sorry, not the Magic, the Celtics.
Celtics.
So that will be a good matchup where to be honest, they're down a bit too. So,
Mhm.
but does that make it to where it's like an even game? I don't know. It depends on who all is going to be continue to be out. Obviously, Jamal Murray, Christian Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., Aaron Gordon missed tonight. Or wait, did Tim Hardaway play?
No,
Yeah,
he
he
was
did.
out as well.
And then obviously Jonas is out too. So they're without Tatum on their end. So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, JB has elevated his game, which isn't a surprise, right? When you don't have Tatum taking away tons of shots from him.
Yeah.
And Tatum, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not back, here in the near distant future. Maybe he's waiting for All Star break. So they're a player in the East because there's just not a juggernaut in the East. So okay, you say the Knicks are, but their record, isn't anything to write home about. Or Detroit, the up and coming team, maybe they're the up and coming Thunder type team, but we'll see. So for Wednesday, though, it's just hard to win in Boston, and this will be what our fourth or fifth Eastern Conference road trip game. So it's just tough to string together wins when you're on an East Coast road trip. It's even more difficult when half your team is out. So I would have told you that going into the Philly game though, and they pulled out a win. So we'll see what comes about. Nuggets was they were Vegas had them at 14 and a half dogs. So anybody who put any money on the Nuggets, you were up the entire game. You didn't even
Hey,
have to sweat.
right?
You didn't even
Yeah,
have to sweat that one out.
yeah. I was curious about Tatum since you brought him up in terms of the when he returns. He's slotted for April 1st, which would give him 7 regular season games before the playoffs.
Mhm.
So that is interesting because that's a playoff implication right there on the East though. So not too
Yeah.
much of a threat on this side. But the you know I'm a little bit biased lately because the Broncos have been doing so well, so I am going to go that way. Man, that number one seed. So we are going to face the winner of the Steelers and Texans. I definitely feel a lot more comfortable being on this side of the bracket just because I want to stay away from the Bills until the AFC Championship is capable, if they're going to make it. You know what I mean? I just think that they're pretty dangerous. Um,
So
but
real quick, in the NFL, they actually reseed.
oh, really?
Yeah, so we'll get whoever the lowest seed is. So if Chargers win, we get the Chargers.
I didn't realize that.
Hmm.
Interesting. We'll play lowest remaining seed. That'll be a tough matchup if we go against the Chargers. Um, just because they've had our number in the last few years. So I'm sure that's why they were talking all their trash in after that game. But it's still at
So it could
home
be Bills,
at
could be
home.
Chargers.
That also maybe lead into why it seemed Sean Payton was so, we'll say, conservative, but um, so like for example, I think it was Stokely. I could be wrong. It was one of those guys on the fan. We're talking about how the Broncos were not running any plays that they had, or Cecil Lammy. He was saying they only ran 2 plays that he hadn't seen before, and that's not how Sean Payton, coaches. He always throws wrinkles in there. So he's thinking that they were, you know, throwing out a feint, if you get what I mean, trying to just only give enough to get by in the game. But that being said, the Chargers had gotten more sacks on Bo Nix than I think it could have been any game this summer or this year, because going into the game he only had been sacked 18 times and then they got 4 that night. So what do you think about their, basically the final game and then the implications for the playoffs?
Yeah, it was hard to really gather too much from that clinching game, other than freaking out a little bit when our starting center and starting left tackle
Right.
both had to step out. And I didn't catch the injury report on our center. Obviously, Garrett came back into the game in the second half.
So did Forsyth.
Okay, so the biggest primary concern is we're healthy. Beyond that, I agree. You just don't want to see Josh Allen maybe until a AFC Championship game if possible, but I don't think that would be possible based off how they reseed. Um, so really, that's the thing about I think both sides of the bracket this year is there's no like dominant. This team, is heavily favorited to go to the Super Bowl on either side of the bracket. So
Yeah.
we could lose to any of these teams and we could beat any of these teams. The thing that we have obviously to our advantage is it will be at home. So I wouldn't mind seeing the Chargers because, just a familiar foe. They got us early in the year. We can't really count this game towards the end of the year. They do have a strong running game, and obviously Herbert can beat you with his legs or beat you throwing the ball. Guess what? Josh Allen can beat you with his legs, beat you with throwing the ball. Oh, by the way, they also have a top elite running back. So, if we're thinking that either the Chargers or the Bills win an early round game, offensively, there's really not too much of a difference between those teams and their style of play and what they're trying to do. You obviously give the nod to Josh Allen over Herbert. At least I would. And then I think you give the nod to James Cook over Amarian Hampton and Vidal, the kind of tandem running back that the Chargers have. So then, maybe we say, okay, let's look at the defensive side of the ball. We got Khalil Mack and Derwin James with the Chargers who have been doing their thing. And, Bills defense, I don't know if there's anybody that you're like really circling, like, okay, we got a game plan around this guy. So as much as I would like to avoid Josh Allen, I don't see too much of a difference between them and the Chargers. They're both really good teams, and the offense is going to have to show up against either of them.
Yeah. And so real quick, the main thing I have with Josh Allen is just he he brings a different element, cuz like he's more likely to be able to score in the red zone with his feet than a Justin Herbert would be, in my opinion. So it just adds a little bit of red zone pressure, if you get what I mean. But that being said, if we played them and got our monkey off their back for last year, that could do wonders for the team's confidence and ego as well. So um, it's definitely going to be interesting whoever we end up facing. And this next week, or this week, I should say, we get to sit here and be all depressed because we don't get to watch Broncos. But next week we'll have a home game, so we'll be all right.
Yeah.
But one quick note I did have for the final game. I thought Justin Cernod played freaking awesome. Um, I know I'm kind of probably alone on an island liking that guy, just because he's a pass rushing middle linebacker. They're not very common. But that being said, the fact that he was able to put that type of footage forward, I don't think we're going to re-sign him, unfortunately. So I just kind of given him a shout out because I think the guy has some talent. Um, the main thing when we get into the playoffs, I'm wondering if we're gonna have to, like for example, say we play Herbert, say we play Allen. I wonder if we're gonna have to quarterback spy. What is your kind of take on quarterback spy? Is it, do you eliminate a player? Is it a good safety blanket? Does it allow you to have like a middle zone that kind of you wouldn't have otherwise? What's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, probably not a surprise here, but it's to me, it's more about down and distance on
Yeah,
when you're choosing to spy. For me, you can not to the exact same level, but you can accomplish the same things as you do with the spy with just maintaining your rush lanes.
yeah.
But as we've seen from our edge rushers, lane discipline is the last thing on their priority list.
Well, and sometimes even our inside guys will decide to spin, and then it creates a whole.
Yeah. So in that sense, if you're not running a zone, if you're in man to man, which I'm assuming he's going to mix up a little bit of both. If you're in that man to man look, probably not a bad idea to keep a spy against Allen. I'm not, like I said, Herbert can beat you with his leg. He's not as prone to do so. So we'll see if our edge rushers can affect the game, but also not just say, hey, I'm just going to completely blow around the corner and forget what happens behind me in the process, because they will get outside the pocket and they will throw on the run, and they'll throw on the run accurately.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be a big one for me on the defensive side, is how do they create pressure but also maintain discipline? And what we've seen so far this year, I think that's a challenge for them.
Yeah, and so far on the list, other than the people that are on injured reserve, we do have Greenlaw is questionable. I don't see that being a problem come a week or so, and then John Franklin Myers is listed as questionable as well. Once again, I don't necessarily see that being a problem within a week. So hopefully we're completely healthy, and then really what it comes down to is Bo needs to step up and deliver on the offensive side of the field, because, or on the offensive side of the ball, because the defense, they may have taken a regression step towards the later parts of the season, but I really do think that they're going to be there, especially if Bo's carrying his load, which lightens their load.
Mhm.
So
True.
we need Bo to step up and deliver. I was hoping to see him deliver in that last game, and he did not. And I think for his next step, will be that playoff competition, like being able to prove it at that level. And
Hmm.
as much as I want to glaze his first two seasons, all the things that he's put up, he definitely needs to accomplish it in the clutch. So that's what I'm mainly going to be watching for. Really hoping guys are not dropping balls as well to that nature. They can't,
True.
as much as I want, as much as I also want to shift the blame to them, it's going to come down to Bo. But we definitely, it just needs, the team has to come together. We have to come to fruition in all phases of the ball, but special teams and defense, I'm just like not as concerned about, unlike, previous years where special teams were like, what are they doing? Like nowadays, it seems like we've got that stuff on lock. We just need to definitely perform on the offensive side.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I can't even remember the last time I've said Will Lett's his name, which is a good thing.
Right.
Uh, and then obviously our punter has been just booming the ball. Um, for me, two things that I think we need to see that would get this offense moving in the right direction. First off, man, Evan Ingram, it would be nice if you just all of a sudden showed up and showed out. Like, it's playoffs. If you get hurt, man, you get hurt. It is what it is. Just like get after it. I don't know if that's scheming him the ball, finding ways to get him the ball, but he can and should be a matchup problem for opposing teams It's just for whatever reason this year has not been there, and he's out there. He's playing. He should be healthy, right? I mean, by all accounts, we haven't heard anything to the contrary. So that's one thing I want to see in these two games is him create some matchup problems because I think we already have a pretty good idea of what we're getting from our running game and a pretty good idea of what we're getting from our wideouts. The second thing I want to see is more designed runs for Bo Nix. Again, he gets hurt. He gets hurt where this is to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Like
it's
I
it's
don't,
do or die time.
and if we end up doing more design runs, he hurts his shoulder, hurts something like it wasn't meant to be because the offense as what we've seen, sans Dallas Cowboys, is not a Super Bowl winning offense or getting to a Super Bowl. So for me, I think those two wrinkles could really change the dynamics of this offense. Mixing in a tight end who can create new matchups, and then also just force feeding Bo the ball in the run game, designed runs, run pass options, where he actually runs the ball, I think can create a wrinkle that teams will at least need to account for. And I'm not saying Bo never runs, he has multiple times throughout the year, but I'm talking more like Cam Newton style, Jalen Hurts style. We're going to give you the ball and you're going to have 10 blockers for you. Not, oh, nobody's open down the field, take off. And we've seen a few plays that were design runs for Bo that were very, very effective. So I want to see more of that in these. Hope I keep saying these next two games. So I'm just going to go there and say we're going to win. All right, but I think those two things can at least create more things for defenses to think about.
Yeah, and so to address your first point with Evan Ingram, and I've probably said this with you before. I've definitely said it with my brother here, um, Hugh, that's at the house with us. Is the main thing that I see when he catches the ball is he's immediately looking around, worried that he's gonna get hurt. Like, I can't even believe it because like he'll catch it and he'll waste like a second of time like looking to see where somebody is if they're gonna hit him. It's like, dude, just catch it and run. Like seriously. Hopefully he's able to get past that mental hurdle in the playoffs and kind of make things happen. That he also did have a good game though. Like this last game, he was productive. So if we could see more stuff like that from him, then it's really going to be a wrinkle on our team that's going to be pretty tough to match up against. And then
Mm-hmm.
secondly with Bo, what I would also like to see is them to completely unleash him where he doesn't have the, I'm going to call it training wheels where they say, "Hey man, no matter what, look to pass." You know what I mean? Cuz there's those situations where I mean, you could tell he's got like 10 15 yards to play with, but he intentionally holds it and throws it. I don't think that those were his like intentional decisions in terms of he thinks it was the right thing to do. I think that's coaching of them saying, "Hey, hold on to it. This is us. This right now is your development time. So just make sure
Mm-hmm.
to hold on to it and make a throw. If not, we'll live with the results." I want to see him making the best decision, which in his rookie year, there was many times where he'd be under pressure, under duress, where he wouldn't hold on to it at that point. He would just take off and run for it. And
Sure.
I do want to see that. Although, and I'm not discrediting the thought process of some design runs because I definitely, like you said, think that will open up some things and it'll cause the defense to think twice. I'm just merely mentioning I want a few more of his scrambles to be actual scrambles where he does move down the field with it. I think it's very successful, and I think that kind of like what you were saying with the design runs. I think that sticks in people's minds big time, where they're like, "Oh, I can't just stick back here on the receiver because this dude is going to take off." And
Mm-hmm.
I really do think that if we're going to be successful, he needs to be a dual threat. And he's
Sure.
fast enough to do so. He's got some dang wheels on him. I don't know how he's so dang fast, but I definitely want to see it happen. And you had mentioned the rushing game very very kind of like, in passing. I'm I'm worried. RJ had some good games leading up to last game, and then the last game he averaged like 1.9 yards a carry. Every time he got the ball, he was hit, and then sometimes he was able to get like a yard out of it, and other times he just got swallowed up. Jaleel looked pretty good in the last game, but I don't think he looked so great in the games leading. So definitely worried. And kind of funny is J.K. Dobbins is like kind of telling everybody, "Oh, if we get to the AFC Championship game," it's like, dude, you haven't played football in a long time, man.
Right.
So I just thought that was kind of funny.
Hey, we'll take it if he's ready to come back. So,
I guess it'd
I
be
mean,
one
we'll
win, right?
yeah, there you go. We'll see. I mean, Peyton has brought a team to the Super Bowl and won, so he kind of knows what he needs to do to get there. That's one advantage we definitely have coming in. Obviously Vrabel's a great coach, but hasn't brought a team to a Super Bowl. Harbaugh has brought a team to a Super Bowl, lost because of a power outage at halftime. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
But seriously, but we may not even see him. The Bills coach, if they lose this year, I don't know how he still has a job. That's just, why not call out for some people's
Yeah,
jobs at this.
that's a good point.
Tomlin has gone to and won a Super Bowl. So has Aaron Rodgers. So, people are saying the Steelers won by luck and counting them out. Hey, you never know. They're playing at home just like we are. So
Yeah.
we'll kind of see what each of these teams do. And we'll have an extra week to prep and talk about it. But
Right.
I don't know if you had any other Broncos talk for now, but did you catch the Elway documentary on Netflix?
I have not yet. Hugh told me it was a must watch, so I gotta get my game up.
How do you call yourself a Broncos fan? You haven't watched? No, I'm kidding.
I agree. Yeah.
So, I mean, I obviously won't go into too much detail for those that haven't watched it, but there's some interesting parallels between Dan Reeves, who was the Broncos coach when John Elway was coming into town, and
Hmm.
he wanted things done a certain way, and was a successful coach, right? He brought the Broncos to a couple Super Bowls, brought the Falcons to a Super Bowl. Obviously, never won any of those Super Bowls, but clearly was a solid coach. And Elway just completely disagreed with his philosophy and how he got things done. And you see a little bit of that between Bo Nix and Sean Payton, where you can just see visually that Bo is not happy with what's going on. Um, I'm not saying Bo is on John Elway's level. Just calm down, everybody. If you throw any comments later, but I am curious to see if Bo is that guy. John Elway eventually earned the nickname, the Duke of Denver. So I had to, put Chat GPT to help me out with some Bo nicknames. And one of the interesting ones that came up was the Prince of the Rockies. So, right now to me, Bo Nix is the Prince of the Rockies. If he wins a Super Bowl, he can become the King of the Rockies.
That's
So
pretty good.
that's what I'm going to run with. There are a few other silly ones, but that's what I'm running with right now.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, Dan Reeves, didn't he end up being the coach at Mullen?
I don't know. Are
Thought
you talking? Are you talking about Dave Logan?
Oh, it's Dave Logan. My bad.
Yeah,
For
little different.
a little bit different of a level there. For some reason, I thought it was him. But the one point did want to hit for the Broncos was the press conference that Sean Payton had. Well, it wasn't a press conference. It was like a news report he had with Yahoo Sports before the season had begun, where he said he'd had 7 teams that he thought were capable of winning a Super Bowl, and this was one of them. I mean, he called his shot, and I tell you what, he's so far as expectations go, let's just say strictly the season that they put together, he hit the nail on the head. Like, this is a Super
Mm,
Bowl hopeful team. And the fact that he was able to get number 1 seed 2 years removed from us being a joke of an organization,
right.
I just I'm just super impressed. And we've got still, what is it, 35 million in dead cap this season to be the number 1 seed. I'm giving you your flowers, Sean Payton, because you deserve them. And thanks for watching or thanks for making football watchable again in Denver for us. Really do
Mhm.
appreciate that. And on that note, if you haven't like, comment, subscribe, go ahead and hit those buttons. Do any type of configurations you need there in the chat. Go ahead and throw shade or throw love, whatever you want to do. But it's time, baby. It's Broncos playoffs, and we're here to get it.
Yes, you got it. I do. I know. We're probably trying to close here. I do got one more thing.
Yep, hit it.
This one, I have no personal, rooting interest other than I think he's just a good player and a good dude. But if Drake May wins the MVP over Matt Stafford, um, I don't know what is going on. I don't care about Drake May's running ability. They're not the number one seed. They got like one or two wins more than the Rams, so nothing that's like night and day difference. Yes, they won their division, but the Jets and the Dolphins are also in their division. The Rams have the 49ers and the Seahawks in their
Yeah,
division.
they have a tough
A little bit
division.
of a difference there. And dude, Stafford suffered in Detroit for at least a decade. Just absolutely suffered. Finally goes to a team that wants to spend some money on him and does an excellent job. So just hope Stafford gets an MVP. The dude deserves it. And if we see him in the Super Bowl, hopefully we just send him into retirement without a win.
Right? I mean, even if we face Aaron Rodgers, I'd love to put him down to rest.
That'd be nice. Just lacerate a spleen or something, and just send him packing.
Right. Right on. Hey guys, thanks for joining us. Denver Gridiron and Hoops. You guys have a great day.